The first one, I won't spend much time in introduction since we are a bit late, but I would like just to say welcome to Ives De Saeger. He is going to make a presentation about abstracting TRIZ, and maybe you can give us a short introduction about yourself. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Daniel. My short introduction will take about 2 hours, so I hope I can summarize it in 2 minutes. In fact, we are from the company, together with the kid who is in front of me, we are from the company P41, which is of course inspired by the 40 principles. And the 41st principle is that in fact you need a person to find solutions. So it's the human interaction. We are a company that is busy with what I call process innovation. This means also that we are focusing on production processes, but also on product processing. Is that enough for the introduction?
Yes.
Because another introduction would be that I am the type of guy that likes to draw maps. I like to draw maps to understand what are different strains. What are the limitations of the techniques that exist? I am the type of guy that likes to discuss on a meta level thinking, on an abstract level of thinking, so you can understand that this topic is really hot for me, abstracting TRIZ. To ensure you, my goal is to create problems. Because if you map, you will see that some of the zones are not filled in. So there is a goal, there is something there that is not there yet. And it's up to our mind to come up with a new solution. To quote Ellen, she talked yesterday about learning cycles. What I'm going to do is I'm going to present about 6 slides, a bit more. Explaining this abstraction of TRIZ, but Ellen yesterday told us about learning strategies, and since our presentation is about knowledge management and learning, there's a very good connection between both. But I'm going to use a model from Daniel Dennett, very inspiring. Very inspiring Daniel Dennett in one of his books, Knowledge Dangerous Ideas. He explains what he calls a 4-level way of learning. And the first level of learning is what you could call a Darwinian level of learning. He talks about Darwinian creatures, and the Darwinian creature tries to do something, and when it fails, it dies. I think the vision of Altschul was to understand that brainstorming is too Darwinian. You need to climb up the ladder to come up with the second level, which could be called, according to Daniel Dennett, Skinnerian creatures, from the person called Skinner with his theory on behaviorism. So it's about how you behave in the sense of the personality. But you can think about the fact that, for instance, a rat will eat almost anything, but when it eats something and it feels that it's not well after some hours, it will remember that it shouldn't be eaten anymore. So this is what you could call a stimulant creature, a creature that is learning, but also by behaviorism, like what is good and what is bad. The next level you call is a Popperian or a Popperian creature from Karl Popper. And at this point he introduces language. Language, what is strange about us as creatures is that we are able to use language and to create a mental picture. We are able to create a model in our minds. Don't ask me where this model is. You can dissect my brain and you will not find it. But anyway, I seem to be able to think about the model and even communicate about this model. And TRIZ, I think, is filled with models. I think the real breakthrough from my point of view is that Altschul saw that we need to create models also. But of course there is a next step, which he calls Gregorian creatures. And what is Gregorian creatures? That is thinking about thinking. And this means if we would think on which type of models we have to learn from that and to expand our knowledge, I think this is what really interests me, is what can we abstract? What can we learn from what we have learned? What can we learn from the models we can think about? And to unquote Daniel Dennett, I would present a Darwinian creature, according to Simon Whitson, which means this is thinking on what we will be thinking about thinking today. This is a third generation, sorry to quote this company now, but okay, a third generation way of thinking. This is not Daniel Dennett. Just as a start, I have to tell you, knowledge management is a huge and a vast domain. And we just didn't take enough time to screen all the books. What we did was we took more a pragmatic view. And I will explain this pragmatic view right away. This pragmatic view comes from Professor Max Boisot. He's written a couple of books, many papers, very interesting person. And he has a model, he has a viewpoint of the world that he calls I-space. And I will explain this now step by step. The first point he makes is, you can talk about knowledge assets, and I'm going to use the word knowledge, information, data, as if they were the same, which is not correct, but never mind. So he talks about diffusion, and I mean the lowest form of diffusion, what he calls undiffusion or undiffused, means that there is one guy that has a certain knowledge, and the rest of us don't have it. Going up the direction of diffusivity or diffusion, you come up with, okay, some people understand what it's about, until you reach everybody understands what it's about. For instance, you will all have heard making the news. This is knowledge applicable and understandable by everybody. Unfortunately, the TRIZ methodologies sometimes seems to be a bit undiffused. You seem to need, let's say, an expert that knows about TRIZ to help you. So, first point you could say is, let's try to undiffuse it. To give you another example of the same, undiffusion is, as Gen 3 yesterday clearly told us, is looking at another sector, another leading area. So, this is a form of making an undiffusion. You're going to a diffused direction. You're trying to undiffuse, going to diffuse.